Okay, with the last couple questions on test 2 review, the distribution of how much Americans spend on gas per week is approximately normal, with a mean of $45 and a standard deviation of $10. Normal, 45, comma, standard deviation, 10. What proportion of Americans spend less than $40 on gas per week? So, we're going to first find our z-score. $40 goes first, minus the 45, divided by the standard deviation of 10. Put that in our calculator. Be careful typing it incorrectly. It would be parenthesis 40 minus 45, close parenthesis, divided by 10. We get a z-score of negative 0.5. Negative 0.5. Negative goes on the negative side. It's half a standard deviation to the left. And we're looking for less than, so we shade less than. We then go to our z-table. Okay. Looking at our z-table, we go to the negative z-table. We look for negative 0.5, negative 0.50, and that finds 0.3085. 0.3085. Since we are looking for less than, that is our answer. So, the proportion of Americans who spend less than $40 on gas per week is 30.85%. The proportion of Americans who spend less than $40 on gas per week is 30.85%. Okay? Our next question. The distribution of how much Americans spend on gas per week is approximately normal, with a mean of $45 and a standard deviation of $10. This time, what proportion of Americans spend more than $60 per week on gas? This time we're looking for more than. We're looking for more than $60. More than $60. So, again, we find the z-score. 60 goes first, minus the mean of 45, divided by a standard deviation of 10. Again, be careful typing in the calculator. It's parenthesis 60 minus 45 divided by 10, which gives us positive 1.5, which we'll write as 1.50. So on the positive side, 1.50. And this time we're looking for more than, so we shade more than. We shade more than. When we go to the table, the positive table, look up 1.50. We find the table gives us 0.9332. Remember, the table always tells us less than, but in this case we want more than. So we're going to subtract from 100. We change it to a percent, 93.32%. Subtract from 100, we get 6.68%. 6.68%. So, the proportion of Americans who spend more than $60 on gas per week is 6.68%. The proportion of Americans who spend more than $60 on gas per week is 6.68%. Alright. Now, our next problem The distribution of how much Americans spend on gas per week is approximately normal, with a mean of $45, standard deviation of 10. But this time we're looking for what proportion of Americans spend between $38 and $72 on gas per week. Since we're looking for between, we have two values, which means we need two z-scores. So the first one would be 38 minus 45 divided by 10, parenthesis, 38 minus 45 divided by 10 gives us negative 0.7, negative 0.70. That goes on the negative side. The other z-score will be 72 minus 45 divided by 10. That gives us 2.70. 2.70. And we're looking for everything in between. Looking for everything in between. When you look up negative 0.70, you get 0.2420. Remember, the table always tells you to the left. When you look up 2.70, you get 0.9965. Table always tells you to the left. 0.9965 is too much. 0.2420 is not shaded. So we subtract 99.65 minus 24.20 is 75.45%. So our sentence would be, the proportion of Americans who spend between $38 and $72 on gas per week is 75.45%. The proportion of Americans who spend between $38 and $72 on gas per week is 75.45%. Which brings us to our last question. Our last question is a little different. Our last question says, what dollar amount has 25 of the observations falling below it? Now this is interesting because all of the other problems have given us the dollar value. So we don't know z. We're looking for x minus the mean is still 45, standard deviation still 10, and they gave us a clue to find z, and the clue to find z is 25% below. 25% below. So if I drew my picture, 25% below would look like this, 0.25. And since the table looks for below, I'm going to go look for 0.25. Now, when I look for 0.25, I know it's already going to be a negative z score because it's on the left side. So I go to the negative z table, but I'm not going to look in the z score section. I'm going to look at the percent section. So I'm looking for closest to 0.25. Closest to 0.25. And the closest to 0.25 would be one of these two, and they're relatively close to each other, but I'm going to choose this one. That is very close to 0.25. And the question is, what z-score gives me that? And if I follow across, that's negative 0.6, and then go up, negative 0.67, negative 0.67, negative 0.67 is the z-score that gives me 25% below. Negative 0.67. Negative 0.67. Negative 0.67. We place that in the z, and then we're going to use algebra to solve for x. So, to get rid of divided by 10, we multiply both sides by 10. That gives us negative 6.7 equals x minus 45. We're going to add 45, which gives us our answer of 38.3. So, the dollar amount that has 25% of observations falling below it is $38.30. The dollar amount that has 25% of the observations falling below it is $38.30. The end.